Hello everyone, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Fumi of Ladies Delight Fashion, and now I want to take us further on the concluding part of the gown that we were drafting from the other video that I started from. Now I've made my pattern sets. I've cut them out. This is the base. This is the one I told you that will have my chantilly lace on it. I'm going to use my hemming gum to gum this lace on it, and this is the pattern here. I added my seam allowance of 1/2 inch round the pattern. I added 1/2 inch round it like so. So this one is going to be on top of it, of the fabric, like this. Now, the thing I did here is that after adding 1/2 inch around it, like so, because I won't be lining this part, let me take the paper off. I will not be lining this part. So I cut out a fabric like this. I will use it to turn it by 1/2 inch. I will sew 1/2 inch on it and use it to turn it inside so that I can place this fabric on it, this side of the fabric on it very well. So this is the collar. That's the collar coming this way. I added 1/2 inch seam allowance, 1/2 inch round it, so that the 1/2 inch is what I'm going to use in sewing it and turning it inside out. And I made it double. I cut it in two. Then this is the side princess dart. This is the side princess dart of this part. Then this is the second princess dart for this side as well. So it's only this part. Let me remove this paper. So it's only this part of the princess dart that is going to have the chantilly lace as a decoration on it. Then the sleeve that I'm going to attach to this side is going to have chantilly lace on it as well. So right now I'll go and gum it like I said, and I'll use my hemming gum or fusible web to gum it together to gum the chantilly lace together. Then another thing I want to show us is that I use my stay. I use a fusible stay on it, and I use the paper stay. I didn't use the hair stay on it. So let me go and do it and come and show us. So here now, I want to use my hemming gum I'll place it on the fabric to stick or to gum down the chantilly lace to the fabric. So the fabric is right side up. So I'm cutting the hemming gum on it now, one by one. So on the side of the Ankara fabric that is facing up, and I'll place the chantilly lace on it like so. Also, the chantilly lace, the right side is facing up. And on that side, the right side is facing up. The hem gum is underneath, and the Ankara fabric too is the right side facing up. Likewise, for the one at the center, I'll cut my hemming gum on it with the Ankara, the right side facing up, and the chantilly lace too with the right side facing up. So now I'll cut the hemming gum on it. After I finish cutting it on it, I will now use. So this is the back pattern here. I cut it into two. I cut two of it for each side of the back, and I cut the lining to underlining. I cut two for each side. So now for the front part now, I've cut the underlining. I've cut out the lining for the front part, the princess style line part. I've cut the lining for the one that is going to be underneath as well. cut out the lining. I'm placing it on it for us to see so that we can see how it's going to be underneath. Then the one that is going to be on top of it, that one I didn't line it because I'm only going to use that fabric to turn it inside, to make a turning on that side that is going to be inside of it. So there is no need for me to turn it, to double it. It's going to be too thick. So for the other part of the princess that as well, I cut out the lining for it. So now I will go and sew them together and bring, so you can see I've ironed the chantilly lace on that princess part. So I'll go and join it, I'll sew it together and bring it for us to see. So I've sewn them together here. I used half an inch in sewing them together, both the lining and the fabric, the Ankara fabric, I used half inch. And on the side, the seam allowances are added. For the zipper area and the side is 1.5 inches. For my zipper allowance, I use 1.5. For the inseam, for the seam on the side, I use 1.5 inches as well. So I'm going to use the lining and sew the neck line by half an inch and sew it down as well. So I'm turning it for us to see the inside, how it's going to look like. I use the lining to turn it, to sew it half inch down on the both sides of it as well. I'll do the same for the other side. So I'll do the same for the other side as well. So now I'll use my 1.5 inches to sew it down. I've sewn the front part. I've sewn the princess that to both sides. The side that's going to have the lace on it, I've sewn it on it. Then that's the collar that's going to be on the neckline, and the collar is going towards the back too. So since I've sewn the sides, the princess style lines, the princess that area, so I'll place the collar on it like that, and I'll sew it together on it. That's the one that's going to be on top. I've sewn that one. The sides, I've turned it in, so we can see it like that. Then the back part, then that's the lining. So I'll use the lining to turn it. I'll place it on that. So that's how it's going to be. I'll sew it together on the neckline and bring it out now. I'll sew it together on the neckline by half inch or half an inch. So the line, I'm bringing it out so that we can see how I'm going to place it to sew it together. So I'll sew it together with half an inch. So that's that for the back part. So now, since the collar is going to extend to the back, I've sewn it together now. I now sewed one part of the line of the back pattern that I've joined. I sewed the shoulder line together. Then I now sewed the collar on it, inserting it inside. I first of all joined the shoulder line by half inch on that side. Then I now sewed the collar on it, and I used the lining to turn it in. So it's an inseam. So it's something that can not show outside. So the collar is going inside. So that was how I did that part. Then I joined the center back with 1.5 inches at the back, the zipper area. I joined it by 1.5 inches. So you can see it, how I did it. So now the other shoulder line, yes, the other shoulder line, I will join that place. I will join it together by half an inch as well. So I'll join it together and place it. I'm showing it so that we can see it properly. So I'll sew it together by half an inch. So after doing that, I'll open up the zipper area that I sewed together. So I'll open it up, then I'll sew the sides as well. Now, I want to draft my sleeve pattern out. First of all, got my cap height. I'm using 4.5 inches as my cap height here. Then I wanted to use my pencil. I will use my pencil. First of all, use my pencil. So I've marked out my cap height, which is 4.5 inches. Then the round sleeve I'm using is 7.5 inches. So I'll mark that also. I'll mark it 7.5 inches that way. So then I'll mark it and connect it like that. I'm pulling it so that we can see it well. So that is where my sleeve length is going to reach. I have the sleeve length. My sleeve length is 18 inches. Then the mouth or the round sleeve at the end of the 18 is 4.5 inches. So I'm connecting it to where the round sleeve is, where my cap height reaches. Then I folded the paper into two so that after drafting, I can spread it out and place it on my fabric to cut. So I've connected the cap height to the round sleeve. Then I want to use my marker to make it bold for us to see. I'll connect the lines together to the sleeve length, to where the sleeve is going to get to. So now, after doing that, I'll get the center, the midpoint of the line. I'll fold my tape rule into two. So I'll get the midpoint. From that midpoint, I'll come in on both sides by 0.25 inches. 0.25 on both sides to mark my curve, the curve for the armhole, or for the cap height area. So I'll use my curved ruler. First of all, curve the upper parts, mark the upper parts out, then the down part as well. Then I'll do like the same thing for the other 0.25 that's coming out. So one side will be for the front part of the blouse, the other side will be for the back part, that's the back arm side and the front arm side as well. So I'll cut it out now. And remember, the pattern is my pattern paper is on fold. So when I want to cut it on my fabric, I'll just spread it out and cut it. So now, after cutting it out, I'll spread it out. Then I'll not trim off the front part. I'll trim it out so as to get the part that's going to be for the front arm side. I trim it off for me to get it. So I left the part for the back arm side, and I'm marking it the front and the back. So I'll set it aside. Next thing I want to cut now is the flare for the down part. I'm using a formula that is called the half circle skirt. That's the formula I'm using. Instead of cutting it in 360 degrees, I'll be cutting it in 180 degrees, but I'll still be folding it into 4. So now the formula is the circumference 2C into bracket plus SA. The SA is for seam allowance divided by 2 pi. Now my circumference, the C, is 34 inches times 2, that'll give me 68 inches. Then plus the seam allowance of 2 inches. Actually, the seam allowance is ½ inch on both sides of the flare, I assumed, but in this case I'll just add it. So that gave me the 2 inches. Then plus the 2C, that is the 34 times 2, which is 68. That'll give me 70 inches. I'll now divide the 17 inches by 2 pi. And 2 pi is 2 times 3.14, which is 6.28. So I have 70 divided by 6.28, and that'll give me 11 inches. Actually, it gave me 11.1. So I'll use 11 inches as my radius for the flare that I want to cut. So now I'll measure out my radius plus the length of my skirt. And how did I get this length? I got the length from subtracting my half length from the full length, from the gown full length, and I have 42 inches. Actually, I've added my seam allowances to the 42 inches. So I have 11 inches plus 42 inches. That will give me 53 inches, but I'm measuring it separately. So after measuring it like that, I'll now fold the fabric into two. I'll fold the selvage edge, the selvage area, fold it into two, like so. You can see it. I'll fold it into two. Then I'll spread it out. Spread it out very well. So I have it into two like that. So now the next thing I want to do is to fold it over again. So I'll fold it out. So I'll fold it over now. So as I folded it over now, so the selvage area will be my zipper allowance area. So you can see it well properly here. I folded it over. You can see I left some allowance at that end. Then the length is, the full length is not, the length of the front part is not getting, it's not reaching down. I'm still going to add to it. So now I'm going to mark out my radius of 11 inches. So the zipper allowance I used there is 1.5 inches and I mark it down. I mark it down, I take it down to where the length is going to reach. So now I'll get my radius of 11 inches out and I'll mark it round. I'll take it around my starting edge from that apex point there. Mark my 11 inches round. I'll mark my 11 inches round. So I have a 34 inches there. Actually, at the end of the day, I didn't add the same allowance of 2 inches again because I wasn't going to use it. I wasn't going to open the sides. If I were to open the sides now, I will add the 2 inches. So now I measured the length down from the circle, the radius circle area. I measured the length down of 42 inches. You can say that there is a space there. That area that the fabric did not get to, I'm still going to add to it. I will show us how I did it. So I measured it round. So it's 42 inches round. I take it round from that area where my circumference, my radius stops, and then where my circle waist or circumference is. So I take it round. After marking it round like so, I take it to the end. Sorry, you cannot see it properly, but I took it to the end. So now I'll mark it round properly. I mark it round properly before cutting it out because I have to cut it out now. So I'll first of all start with the radius area. That's my waistline. That's my circumference area. Then I'll go down and I'll cut the down part so as to give me my full skirt length for my gown. So I'll cut it out like so. You can see it. Cut it out like that. So I've cut it out now. So the next thing I want to do now is to fill up that area, that space that I have there, because that is the front part of my fabric and it has to be, it has to be even. So I cut another fabric, folded it into two, and I placed it on that edge, that side. I placed it on each other, coming up by 1 inch. So I've been sewing it together by 1 inch allowance, come up by 1 inch, and I'll secure it down. I'm placing it well so that it can get to the parts that I need. So I use my office pin to secure it together to the down part. So I use my office pin to secure it together. I'll use my office spray. I've secured it now. So I'll now flip it to the other side. See, I've secured it very well. So I'll now flip it to the other side so as to be able to cut the flare well, so that I can cut it from the front part because there may be mistakes. So I'll flip it to the other side where the curve is properly, and I'll now cut it or pull it up so that I don't have any folds. So I'll now cut it down. So I've cut it now. So I have it perfectly now. So my flare skirt part of my dress, of my gown is ready. So the next thing I'll now do is to go and sew the zipper allowance, sew the area, and fold the edges. So I'll sew the zipper area, sew the place that I use my pin to secure, and now I want to cut out my sleeves for the dress, for the upper part of my gown. So I fold my fabric into two, and always please sew on the wrong side or fold on the chalk on the wrong side of the fabric. So I've placed my paper on it. I'm going to use I used 3/4 of an inch round. Then I use 1 inch as my seam allowance on the edge of the sleeve. So I'm cutting it out now with my 1/2 inch allowance at the top of my cap height of my cap sleeve. Then on the sides I used 3/4 of an inch because I want to have enough seam allowance in the sleeve inside. So I used 1 inch for the hem to fold it in at the end, at the hem line of the sleeve. So now, after doing that, I'll notch the center. I'll notch for the center, which is going to be, then I notch for the front part and the back part as well. So now I remove the one for the other side that does not have the lace. So this is my chantilly lace. The Ankara fabric is facing up. That's the right side is facing up, and the chantilly lace is facing up. So I'm folding it in by the 1 inch seam allowance that I added to the sleeve length, and the edge of the lace is going to stand. After folding it, it's going to stand on it like so. I'll show us again. I'm measuring it the 1 inch in, like so. I measure the length that I need. That's why I'm using my tape to measure the length that I'm going to have after folding the 1 inch in. So after measuring it in like that, I place my chantilly lace on it with the lace edge on the hem line of the sleeve, or the sleeve hem line. Then I will cut it out. Yes, I pull it up so that it can be even, it can rhyme with it. So I'll later on go and use my hem gum to hem it, to sew it, to iron it down, the folded seam allowance in. Then I will hem it down again to secure it properly so that when washing it, it does not come off. So I've trimmed it round, trim it to match the sleeve that is needed for that side. So later I'll go and sew it round and secure it with my sewing. So I'll sew it round, then I'll fold my sleeve into two. I'll fold it over, and I'll use my seam allowances. I'll sew it, fold it in. I'll sew it with my seam allowances of 0.75. Now I've sewn the upper part. I've completed the sewing. I've fixed the sleeves. You can see it. I fixed the sleeves. I've sewn it on both sides. So at the collar, you can see the collar on it like that, coming beautiful. It's beautifully sewn. You can see how beautiful it is with the sleeves. You can see that the side part that I have the chantilly lace as my design on it, I have the sleeve with the chantilly lace. So the down part, the skirt part, I've sewn it together. I've sewn the zipper area, sewn it as my waistline. Likewise, I've sewn the edges, I folded it, I've sewn it together, I've folded it over using 1/2 inch as well. So the next thing I want to do now is to sew the upper part with the skirt part, and I will show you also on the mannequin. You see how beautiful it will come out. So this is it on the mannequin. See how beautiful it came out. You can see how it is. I hope you try it out